Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to share some of the best practices you need to follow whenever you are designing your vector store and whenever you are considering some vector stores. So there are some best practices which you should follow in order to get the better response from your LLM. So apart from this, I will also show you what are the top few recommendations of 2025, which are the most popular vector stores and which one is good for you. So that part also I'm going to cover towards the end of these slides. So let's get started with some best practices, and I'm going to share at least 7 best practices which would be very helpful to you whenever you are dealing with vector stores or vector databases. So let's get started with the very first one. It is data preparation and chunking. So here are the 3 guidelines related to this topic, and the very first one is about chunking. So whenever you are chunking, don't restrict yourself with the fixed size chunking, because the way you are chunking it completely depends on your use case or what you are trying to achieve. So it may be possible that you need to go with semantic approach. It may be possible that you need to go with the sentence based chunking approach, or you may also need to go for the fixed size tokens. So one solution doesn't fit all. So definitely make sure and try it out that which one is working well for you. Another thing is here is about the chunk overlap. So wherever possible, try yourself not to go for chunk overlap. So use minimum overlap only and only if it is actually required for you to have the context continuity. If you are not bothered about the context continuity, or you are okay missing some things here and there, then don't go for chunk overlap, because it is going to add an extra overhead on this processing. The third one is about the context preservation. So definitely if you are dealing with vector store, you may be preserving the context in memory or by storing somewhere, but make sure that whenever you are preserving the context, you are having some associated metadata. It could be your document title, it could be the section, it could be the timestamp, or it could be any relevant information which can help you to understand that what this data was all about. So these are the 3 recommendations for data preparation and chunking. Let's move on to the second one, which is about embedding strategy. So again, here we have 3 recommendations. The very first one is about the using high quality embedding models. So now there are many models available. Go ahead and check it out which one is giving you the best results. So you can go with either the text embedding 3 small, text embedding 3 large, which is from the OpenAI, or even if you are going for the open models like BG large N, that would also work. But think which one is working for you. You need to experiment with some data. You need to experiment with various models to figure it out that which model is best for you. Second one here is the normalizing the embedding. So ensure that your vectors are normalized, especially when the system supports cosine similarity. So we want everything to be of the unit length. And the third one is about the batch embedding. So let's say you are dealing with very large data sets. So in that case, you can go ahead with embedding in the batch. It will definitely optimize performance as well as it will reduce your cost. So these are the 3 recommendations when we are talking about the embedding strategy for designing vector stores. Coming on to the third one, which is about the querying and retrieval. The first one here is use the same model for querying as well as retrieval. So let's say you have decided to go with one model, and with that one model you are vectorizing your data. Then whenever user is giving you the query, make sure that you are using the same model to vectorize that query or to extract the content out of that query. In that case, you will get exactly the same result what you are expecting. But if you are using different model, again it is very difficult to decide what is going wrong or what went wrong. And the second one here is the preferred hybrid search. So if your use case permits, then go ahead with vector plus keyword search. If you are taking both of these into consideration, then it is possible that you will get better recall. So see if this supports for the vector store, whatever you are taking. If it supports, do prefer to go with the hybrid search. The third one is the top K parameter. Again, this is one of the very important factor or the parameter, I would say, whenever you are dealing with the RAG systems. So now what is the perfect top K? that no one can say. But again, you need to experiment with a lot many chunks. You can try with the top 3, top 5, top 10 and see how much data you are expecting for your for setting up the context. So accordingly, you can go with the top K. So basically what I'm trying to say here is there is no one thing which will fit everything, or there is no guideline that go for this much top K or go for this model and it will do the magic for you. It's not going to work. You need to experiment with different combinations and work out like what is good for you. The last one here is the re-ranking the results. So although we are getting the top K, still sometimes we need to re-rank those results. So use the LLMs, use some re-ranking models which will give you the better relevance with respect to your results. So these are the recommendations for querying and the retrieval. Moving on to the next one, which is about the prompt engineering. So again, prompt engineering services plays a very vital role whenever you are dealing with vector databases. So the first one here is structure prompts clearly. So when I am saying structure prompts clearly, it means that you take some time to decide how much long will be your context, what all things you want to include in context, and make sure that you are not clubbing the context with the user query. These two are completely different things. So that's why I'm saying structure your prompt clearly. You should have a clear differentiation between what is your context and what is your user query. Second thing is limit context size. So I'm sure you must be following this practice. So whatever the model you are choosing, make sure that you are restricting yourself and your data to be in that limit for that given model. And the third one is using system prompts. So using system prompt is again a very key factor here, because system prompt is the one thing which will define the personality of your application or the agent if you are working on. So whatever you want your system to, however you want your system to behave, you need to define that as a part of your system prompt. So you may need to give some examples, you may need to give some dummy data, you may need to explain it that what actually you are. So all these things has to be the part of like the system prompt. And nowadays there are a lot many UIs or the systems available in which you need not to write your system prompt, rather just define it in a one line and the system will automatically generate the system prompt for you. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I would recommend you to check out my previous video in which I have demonstrated how you can create your agent using Visual Studio Toolkit. So in that I have mentioned how you can generate the system prompt very easily, very effectively, and that is again a very detailed one. And so just work on these things to get the better output. Next one is about the vector store design. Now these are the three key parameters which you should think about. There may be more definitely, but just keep in mind about these three at least. So the very first one is about the choosing the right vector store. There are a lot, made around 10 to 15 vector stores which are very popular and are available in market today, but not every vector store or the database is suitable for every need. For example, let's talk about the Pinecone. So whenever you are looking forward for some scalable solution, the managed offering, and which is very fast, then Pinecone could be your one point where you can use it. Second would be like the Viviate, where you want the schema based and you want the hybrid approach or hybrid search, then go for the Viviate. If you are doing local development and you are looking for some lightweight, then Chroma and Files could be your choice. Similarly, if you are looking for open source solution or something very production ready, then Qdrant could be your. Apart from that, if you are very much inclined toward Azure services, production ready, or I would say the enterprise ready, then Azure AI Search could be your solution. So there are a lot many solutions available and you need to decide what are your criterias, and accordingly you can decide on this vector store. The second one is about the metadata filters, which I have already spoke in my previous slide. So whatever the data you are chunking, make sure that every chunk is associated with some sort of metadata. Now it could be your source, it could be your file name, it could be date, topic, it could be your section of that document. If you are taking image, it could be the image name, it could be anything basically, but your every chunk should have an associated metadata so that we can enable the filtering if required. Because when the filtering is enabled, we will get definitely lot much better responses. So make sure that all the chunks you are taking are filterable with proper metadata associated with them. The third one is preserve your store. So like I said, for local stores, you can go with either Files or Chroma. So in that case, make sure that you are preserving the store or preserving the data across the sessions, and that you can do it by saving some files locally in any of the format which these databases can understand. So these are the very good recommendations when you are going for your vector store design. Let's talk about the monitoring and the evaluation. Here we have log retrievals as the first one. So what this means is it says that whatever the document you are retrieving, whatever the queries you are doing with your vector store, make sure that you are logging it somewhere so that you may go ahead and evaluate it sometime in future depending on how your system is behaving. So let's say if your system or the LLM is not giving you the good response, and that because your context is not correct. So you may need to go back and see why your context is not correct. And that's where you may need logs on your machine or on some system, things which are available. Let's talk about the model evaluation part. So there are different ways where you can evaluate your model. So you can either go with human evaluation if your application is very small, your data is very small. But you can also go with the model-based evaluation, in which you have a lot many rules which are defined. And if you are using Azure, you may see those rules or the evaluation matrices inside the Azure AI Foundry. So those evaluation mechanism or the methods can be used to check your output against the groundedness. So make sure that you are evaluating your responses accordingly. Then we do have a A/B test. So try different chunking, different retrieval strategies, different embedding models to make sure that you are getting the perfect output. Let's move on to the last one, which is about the security and the privacy. So these are, I'm sure you must be following already. So the very first one here is very general, and it is saying that be careful whenever you are dealing with the sensitive data. It should not be kept in plain text. Try your level best to encrypt your embeddings if needed. Then the third one we have is about the access control. So there are many databases which allows you to grant roles, and according to those roles, user will get access to the user, or the application will get access to your vector store. So make sure that you have defined the proper access controls for your database. Now the next slide is about the top vector stores which are very popular in 2025. So let's take a sneak peek towards that. Here is the slide, and here you can see 7 vector stores which are selected for top category. And the first one here is the Pinecone. So I will quickly walk you through this, but you can also take a screenshot if you want. So I will start with the Pinecone. So whenever you are looking for managed scalable solution which also supports hybrid search, then go for Pinecone. If you are looking for some open source which is schema based and support hybrid search, then Viviate could be your solution. Coming on to the Qtrend, it is Rust based and very fast, and it allows you for metadata filtering. We do have a Chroma for lightweight local development, and it also supports the LangChain native very nicely. Then we have the Milvus, which is scalable and GPU accelerated one, and it also supports the multi-model scenarios. We do have a Redis vector which supports in-memory and real-time search. We have the last one as a Zilliz Cloud. So that is for managed, and it supports managed and the cloud native scenarios. So these are the databases which aren't very hype. So definitely you can choose one of these. Now here is the recommendation, like how you should choose the right one. So whenever you are looking for enterprise RAG kind of solution, then you can go with either Pinecone, Viviate or Zilliz. If you are looking for open source or self-hosted one, then you can go for Qtrend, Viviate or Milvus. Fast prototyping is your need, then Chroma and Files is there because they promote the local development. If you are looking for real-time apps, then you have Redis Vector Store and the Pinecone because Redis is very good in real-time data filtering. If you are having a multi-model scenarios where you are dealing with text as well as images, then Milvus and Viviate could be your solution. Now you may be thinking, what about Azure AI search? So is Azure AI search not that powerful? And if it is powerful, why it is not making a position in that top list? So if you are curious about this question, stay tuned for my next video, and in that video I will show you what this Azure search is all about, what it can give you, and in which scenarios Azure search could be a good fit. So till then, stay tuned and wait for my next video. Thanks for watching.